Hi, Susan here. Okay, you said you wanted to go through my couture closet and my designs. These are some of them, and that's what's next. Okay guys, so if you're just tuning in for the first time, my name is Susan Elias. I'm a fashion designer, couturier, and instructor and consultant, and I teach everything on my channel about fashion design and to be a fashion designer. So I hope that you're gonna love my videos, and if you do, please give it a like and subscribe and share them with your friends. Okay, so I just did a video on a closet redo on my casual clothing. I was going to continue it with my fall clothing and my dresses, but it was such a mess in here. I decided just to do it on my own and to show you then, because some people have asked me that they want to see my couture pieces, so I'm going to show you that today. I'm a fashion designer for over 30 years, so I have archived pieces from way back. I don't have every single sample that I ever made, but I kind of wish I did in a weird sense. One of the reasons why I keep my samples is because I still have some of the patterns. So if I ever want to redo some of those patterns or change them up or even manufacture that again or make them for others or myself, I have the patterns and I have the sample garment for a seamstress to be able to copy and understand how that garment is put together, or for myself, for my own knowledge of how I did that. So I have those, and so I kept some of the ready-to-wear samples, especially because in the last 10 to 20 years, and I have some couture archive pieces in here that I'm going to reveal next. The reason why I have some of them here is because a photographer, a local photographer, just wanted to do some pictures, and that happens periodically with my designs. I have the rest of my archived pieces in another house. I may show that, I'm not sure, but let's get this started today and let me show you what I have. So I want to start with these pieces here. This is my tube dress that I did in a vintage beaded fabric. That's a Swiss fabric house. It's super expensive. Believe it or not, the backing of this is a more silk poly with the flat beading. You can almost not replicate it. It was like $600 a yard for this fabric, and I made a tube dress for a show, and I did 2 more model tube dresses with that as well. Alright, some of these pieces are on my website for sale, or if you want to inquire about them, you can with my email. I'll have that on the description box below, and I will keep going. So this piece is from, I believe it was like a 2009, 2010. This is a couture one-of-a-kind piece. It was done in poly crepe that with a sunburst pleating. It's actually pants. You can see this on my website. I have all the rosettes done by hand and this structure that came out like this. In order to support it, I had this whole corset inside of it that was then zipped up and cinched in at the waist. This was a wedding avant-garde dress that I did in a silk satin, actually an Italian silk satin that I got. Each piece was sewn in by hand and then released on the bottom with silk illusion on the bottom. The silk illusion did not do well over time, so we replaced it with this crystally poly underneath in order to do it for photo shoots. This is all boning going this way and this way. Every single one of those stitches, guys, is boning, and then it's cinched in the back with a corset backing. This was my second semester dress, believe it or not. I was still in school in second semester. There was a project where you had to do a cowl project with knit, and I didn't want to do knit. I wanted to do ball gown because I knew I wanted to do couture, and they said, okay, if you want to do it, you're on your own. And I actually got the interest of the actual hierarchy of FIT because of this dress, because I went out on a limb on my second semester. I'll show you pictures of this on the dress form, and this, it has all the buttons in the back as well. This was a personal piece with a vintage 6-ply silk crepe, very heavy. You can see it got stained in this last photo shoot, which I'm not happy about, but I In those days I did leather, tons of colored leather and fur because that was popular back then. You're talking 1980s, 1981, and this was my design. It was for an event, and I have a little godet with the hand-placed aurora crystals all over the top. This was an opening for a fashion show, and you can see what happened to the silk illusion. It turned this brown color, not sure why. Bought it from another manufacturer, and it didn't turn on another dress. And this was just sort of to shock, you know, the opening. I have little triangles here. There's a little mini dress with the crystal and this silk illusion. It's a fun little thing. This was part of that same collection, and this is the silk illusion that did not do badly over time. And then I had the tie here. This was all hand painted by an artist, and yards of it. Then I cut it in an asymmetrical bubble type of skirt, and that was also a showstopper. This is my lace gown project, guys. This is the one I did 2017, 2018 with the 30 vlogs showing you how I actually do a couture dress. And this has the boning structures in it as well. This was the center panel to a dress of mine as well. This was fabric bought in Italy and France, and this was silk file that was cut on the bias. It's called formal fluting, and then there's also the tufted little areas on top, completely backed in the silk that was the main dress. I was still in school. This was part of a three-piece where I actually had a knitted Angora leg of mutton elaborate sweater underneath it, and this was just what was left of it, the jacket that went over it. I did a menswear or crossover line, was not so successful, but I kept the pieces, some of the pieces just so that I had them. I did some more of those pieces that went with the wedding gown with the asymmetrical and the floppy skirts. And then I did also with the pleated, part of that whole era, I did with the pleated crepe and the silk taffeta collar and cuffs. Part of that collection was the skirt as well with the silk taffeta bow. It was a wrap type of a skirt. Then this is from one of my earlier collections. This was a vintage silk crepe, and this is not a stretch. This was a mini with no darts. It was very, very hard to engineer, and I was very proud of it. This is one of my first pieces, so I have that one piece to keep. This is when I was making the jackets and the skirts out of that German wool stretch. Then I did the ready-to-wear lines some of it I'm happy with and some of it I'm not so happy with, but the patterns were very important to me. So I kept some of these samples. This was a very popular top. It was off the shoulder or one shoulder, and I made dresses in that with print and solid as well. This is part of the t-shirt, from the t-shirt design. So that t-shirt design that I have recently was derived from this t-shirt that was the color blocking that I did back in, I guess 2010 or something around there. This was a little baby doll dress that I did when all this wash and wear was very popular. On top. And this is like one of the original pieces that I did with that Pucci dress, transformed, where there's no ruching in the back and then it ruches to the front. I loved it so much that I did it just recently with the zipper enclosed, and so these patterns then become pretty valuable, right? And this is all beat up, but this is only the ones that survived, and I wanted to keep it because of the way it was structured. I also redid this dress, and I called it the power dress because every time I wore it to interviews or anything important, I really got noticed. And so I redid it in this beautiful fabric without the sleeves and with a little bit more formal type pockets on that. So that's how it came in handy. These were pieces that I did when Model was just coming out, and these were little flirty pieces. I did a whole silk taffeta contemporary line. I don't have any of those pieces left, but I have some of the Model originals. These are all doubled and super, super popular. They just kept being redone and redone season after season. This was a little bit later when I started working with some Florida stores, and some of the things I like and some of the things I don't, and that's why I stopped doing it. But this is one of my bodies that I did in this incredible print. And then I also did some of the model version of the t-shirt dress with the wrap. Did a backless top that was super popular with a gusset sleeve, and it's just tied here at the back so you're completely exposed, and that was also hugely popular. This wrap dress that was a little bit more unusual with the cut. It had a special panel. I wanted to keep one of the samples because it was a beautifully fitted dress that just did really, really well and was well liked. I did some of these other tops in prints because that's what they were wanting. This sold really, really well. I did these little pieces for stores and stuff, and this is when I realized I was really compromising my aesthetic and I didn't want to do it anymore. But because I like these patterns, I wanted some of these original samples to have. This I did just recently in this beautiful French stretch with the plunge. I love those plunges. So there you go, guys. This is just a tiny bit of what I have. I have bags and bags in there in another home. Actually my mother's home, where I have them in bags and in archives and different things. So I hope you enjoyed this. If you give it a thumbs up if you like it. Share this video with your friends, let people know about it. I do have a lot of how-tos coming up. So subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Thank you. Bye-bye.